Hello, everyone. I can see people are still joining. So as always, we'll give it just another minute before we get going. Grab a coffee if you haven't already. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this month's webinar. My name is Moj Keshe, and I'm joining you today from London. I'm a Senior Director at FTI Consulting and also the Vice Chair of the Claims and Dispute Resolution Subcommittee at AACE International and the AACE UK section. Before we get properly started, just a couple of quick housekeeping points. Please make sure you're on mute and kindly keep your cameras off during the session. Also, just to let you know, we are recording today's webinar. We've got people joining from all over the world, so a very big thank you for making the time to be here. This webinar is being hosted through the AACE UK section. Today's topic is earn schedule, applying earned value management to schedule control. I'm absolutely delighted to have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Walt Lipke, the creator of Earn Schedule. Thank you, Walt, for being in this session with us today. I'm sure many of you already know Walt Lipke very well, especially those of you from the earned value management community. Mr. Walt Lipke is the creator of Earn Schedule. He is a professional engineer with a master's degree in physics, as well as a graduate from the USA DoD Department of Defense course for program managers. He has received several awards for the creation of Earn Schedule, including the PMI, Project Management Institute Eric Janet Award for Project Management Excellence, and the College of Performance Management Doris Knack Distinguished Service Award. And here we have a great moment from EVM Europe 2013, where Walt Lipke was awarded for the creation of Earn Schedule. From left to right, we have Professor Mario Van Hoek, then Walt Lipke, and Stefan van de Voorde. And here we have Walt's 3 books on Earn Schedule. They cover the journey from introducing the core ideas to exploring advanced topics like forecasting and recovery, and finally to practical application. His most recent being the Earn Schedule Application Handbook. And with that, it's my pleasure to hand things over to Walt. He will take us through the concept of Earn Schedule in more detail, and after his presentation, we'll have a short conversation. Over to you, Walt.
Thank you, Moj. We're here today to talk about Earn Schedule and how you can use it with earned value management for schedule control. Let's see here. I can't get the slides to, I'm going to have to stop sharing and reshare again and see if I can get this up. Okay, here we go. These are the objectives that we hope to accomplish with the presentation. I want you to become aware of Earn Schedule, understand its relationship with EVM, know how Earn Schedule is derived, and become capable. That's the most important thing, is to become capable of applying Earn Schedule in your projects. At the conclusion, I'll introduce some advanced Earn Schedule methods, which I hope you will aspire to. And then at the conclusion, I want you to become aware of the available resources that can help you. This is the overview and the sequence in which we'll go through the presentation. Where did earned schedule come from? What is the measure? The fundamental indicators and the forecasting capability. And then we'll talk about the kind of the acceptance of earned schedule. Everything is political. There are a couple of applications that I want you to know about and be able to use is the critical path and milestone analysis. We'll get into prediction and recovery and then discuss the advanced methods, talk about the resources, and then wrap it up. Okay. Just so we're on the same page, here's the basic description of earned value management. From the resource loaded schedule, we create a performance measurement baseline, which is the planned value from the beginning to the expected conclusion of the project, concluding at the budget at completion and at the planned duration. The other two measures from earned value are the actual cost and the measured earned value, what you've accomplished. From those three measures, then we can establish the indicators, schedule variance, cost variance, the schedule performance index, and the cost performance index. Well, what's the reason for earned schedule? Why was it needed? It's needed because the earned value management schedule indicators fail for late performing projects. And the two graphs that you see here kind of show you that. For the late performing projects, what happens is the schedule variance takes a reversion, and so does the schedule performance index, and they conclude at the end of the project with schedule variance equaling 0 and schedule performance index equaling 1, which would tell you, if you didn't know better, that the project finished on time, which it definitely did not. Well, how did earned schedule come about? In 1989, I went to the Software Engineering Institute Symposium. We were, at that time, I was a manager of a software organization, and we were at the closing of a major weapon system project, and we had done really well. We had applied earned value management to the management of software development. And I thought we were very good at the time. But they had at the symposium, they had a software process questionnaire. They hadn't established the capability maturity model at the time. But I took the questionnaire and it didn't show us as being very good. So we decided to hook up with the Software Engineering Institute and embark on their software process improvement program, and we achieved level 4 and nearly level 5. There was only one area that we did not achieve at level 5. At that time, we were one of only 8 organizations in the world that had achieved that level. But in trying to achieve level 5, there was the one area that the SEI thought that we had not achieved. The way they looked at it is you needed to be applying statistical process control. So I looked at the application of applying it to the CPI and SPI indicators, but I realized after a couple of tries that the SPI, because of its failure mode, I could not apply SPC. So I brainstormed an alternative, and what came out of it was earned schedule. We didn't know if earned schedule worked or not, so we prototyped it on about 60 projects and ran that prototype over about 9 months. It gave us good information, so I thought the earned value management community needed to know about it. So I wrote an article titled Schedule is Different, which was published in the College of Performance Management March 2003 issue of the Measurable News. So that was the first public indicator and that of the existence of earned schedule. Well, what is it? It's a simple idea. The idea is to determine the time at which the earned value that you've measured should have occurred. Because the performance measurement baseline connects cost with time, we can look on the performance measurement baseline where planned value equals earned value. That's when this amount of earned value should have occurred. Well, for the example I'm showing here, which you can see the red arrows where we connect earned value with the planned value and then drop the vertical line to the time axis. For this particular example, the earned schedule would be 5 time periods. It could be months. It could be, you can measure earned schedule in any increments that you want to, just however you status your project. Well, now that we have the measure of earned schedule, we can formulate indicators. We have the actual time at which the earned value is accrued, whatever status measure that you use, weeks. There is one associate that actually measures in days. Most people measure in months or by weeks or months or weeks. So anyway, the schedule variance is earned schedule minus actual time. The schedule performance index is schedule performance index equals earned schedule divided by actual time. The two complete index is the planned duration minus earned schedule divided by the duration that you'd like to achieve minus the actual time. And for forecasting, it's simply the planned duration divided by the schedule performance index. And you can see in comparing in the table to the measures and indicators for earned value management, there's kind of a parallelism between them. You can see they're very similar. Okay, I want to go through a pretty simple computation example so you get a much better idea of how earned schedule is computed. The first thing you need is the performance measurement baseline in the accrued earned value. And the equation is earned schedule equals C plus I. The first step is to compute C. And the value of C is found by counting the number of the planned value time increments earned value equals or exceeds. So for this example, you can see where the earned schedule vertical line drops. It drops into the middle of month of June. Well, the earned value is greater than the conclusion of the planned value at the end of May. So C equals 5 months. So now we have C meaning count. You're going to count the number of time increments. So we have that information. Thus far, earned schedule equals 5 plus I. The small box in the image at the lower right is the equation for calculating I for this example. It's going to be all of May plus a portion of June. Earned schedule equals 5 plus earned value minus planned value at the end of May divided by the planned value at the end of June minus the planned value at the end of May. Well, what is that? That's an interpolation. And if you're not acquainted with interpolation, like many of old timers are, we used interpolation in our studies years ago for logarithms and for trig tables and things like that. But it's a method of determining here for this example using cost information to convert it to time. So here we have the values. Earned value equals 100, planned value at the conclusion of May is 90, and at the end of June 110, and we can calculate I equals 0.5. So our earned schedule for this example is 5.5 months. Now that we have the measure, we can calculate the indicators. The earned value was reported at the end of July, so AT equals 7. So our schedule variance is equal to minus 1.5 months. We're 1.5 months behind in this example. Our schedule performance index equals 0.79. So we're earning 0.79 months of the planned duration for every month of execution. Now, is earned schedule reliable? Well, research has shown that earned schedule is better than other EVM time conversion methods. And the second bullet is really important. Emblazon this in your mind. The indicators in the forecast always converge to the actual result. Now, can earned schedule provide misinformation to the project manager such that he makes mistakes in trying to manage the project? There is a very low probability of that. the research that I've done shows that the only probability is in the very initial portion of the project, in the first 5% of execution. Now, research has also shown that earned schedule is best for serial schedules, and it worsens as the project schedule becomes increasingly parallel. Well, that makes a lot of sense, because when you're calculating these measures for a very parallel project, you're actually averaging the information across all of those paths. So it makes some sense that earned schedule is best for serial schedules. We'll talk about that a bit more later on in the discussion. Initially, how was earned schedule accepted? Well, it was ridiculed by old guard EVM experts. They thought earned value management was just fine as it was. However, there was a lot of folks that wanted time information, because what happened with earned value management was the management got segregated into two realms, one for cost, one for schedule. And what was really promised with earned value management was an integrated management system. Earned schedule gives you that. There was uptake in Australia and Belgium and the UK and places in the US as well. And at the time in 2003 and 4 and up through probably 2013, it was something new for conferences. So I got invited to speak at several conferences throughout the world. And initially, too, it was supported by practitioners that were needing something that could give them scheduling information and be able to calculate forecasts for their projects. Research also there was performed on earned schedule, which supported a lot of the things that we just talked about in the research realm. Now, I have a quote here from Max Planck that talks about how change is accepted. If you don't know of Max Planck, he was a physicist in the early 1900s that's really credited for the beginning of quantum evaluation, quantum mechanics. He says here, a new scientific truth, you could substitute change in there for scientific truth, does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that's familiar with it. Excuse me a second, I'm going to get a drink. And I think that's generally true. It's generally true for any kind of change. You can think about it in a lot of aspects for the change that you've seen over your lifetimes. Well, how is it accepted today? Earned schedule is integral to EVM. PMI, ISO, industry, and country have standards that have incorporated earned schedule into their EVM standards. It's included in textbooks and in EVM training and in earned value management analysis tools as well. And it's applied in all sorts of projects, construction, software, defense, and public, both large and small. Now, we talked about earned schedule with application to the total project, but I'm going to talk about a couple of specific applications. One here, first one is critical path. Critical path is a sequence of planned tasks having the longest duration. And traditionally, management focuses on the critical path, believing that you can minimize project execution duration by managing the critical path. And schedulers typically forecast completion by adding the remaining planned task durations of the critical path to the actual duration. In general, that forecasting method is optimistic. The forecast doesn't take into account the schedule performance efficiency of the accomplished work, which earned schedule does, of course. Now, how do we apply it? We're going to use the critical path tasks as if they comprise the project. We're going to create a PMB from those tasks only and use the earned value from those tasks to compute earned schedule. Once we have that, then we can calculate the schedule performance index for the critical path and compare it to the schedule performance index for the total project. If they're approximately equal, we know we have balanced execution, and that will minimize project duration. When they're not equal, when there's some difference between them, we can expect problems, and the duration forecast will likely worsen. This method provides management additional information regarding critical and non-critical performance. It brings more focus to network schedule execution. People have used this and they indicate that it has helped them in identifying problems in their execution of their schedule. Milestone analysis. Let's talk about that. Generally, very large projects have milestones, and they are used to assess progress through evaluation of project characteristics. The normal application of earned value management and earned schedule is simply for the total project. You get the current status, you get a prediction, you get a forecast, but it doesn't address milestones. Now, can we apply it to milestones? Is it actually possible? How can we achieve it? Well, we're going to do about the same thing that we did with critical path. We're going to identify the tasks that make up milestone achievement, create a PMB for the milestone, and give it a subscript M. And thus, we're going to have the indicators or the measures of earned value, planned value, and the earned schedule that are associated with the milestone. Are the indicators affected? Well, yes. They're not for the project, they're for the milestone. We can get a schedule performance index and a schedule variance that describe performance for achievement of the milestone. The forecast and the to complete index are dependent upon target duration. You're not going to use the duration for the project. You're going to use the duration target for the milestone. So those formulas require modification. Well, here are the modified formulas. Instead of the planned duration for the forecast, you're going to use the milestone duration. For the to complete index, you're going to substitute the milestone duration, or you may, if the milestone has planned slack in the schedule, you might use this ED, the estimated duration for the milestone, as a value in the denominator of the to complete index. I've created this indicator for milestones, which I call forecast schedule variance. It's equal to the milestone duration, or the ED subscript M, minus the forecast. And it's useful, and I have a calculator on the website that will calculate it for you. Now, let's talk about prediction and recovery. I segregate prediction from forecasting. The independent estimate of completion is the forecast, and the to complete index is used for prediction. Now, here are formulas for the to complete indexes, and you can see each of them can be calculated for any value that you choose to put in the denominator. And I've identified some here for cost, the budget at completion, the total allocated budget, or some estimate that you might want to achieve. And I've also done the same for the to complete schedule performance index, the planned duration, the negotiated duration, or some estimate. Now, historically, we did not have the to complete schedule performance index. What was available was the to complete cost performance index. How it was evaluated was when the value exceeded 1.1, the project was considered to be out of control, and the project manager had little chance of actually recovering to the desired project cost. Well, I didn't know if this was true or if it was just methodology that had grown up over time from people's use of the index. So I did a test of 25 projects of real data. I did statistical hypothesis testing for both to complete indexes. And what it showed was that evaluation from history was actually true. When TCPI is greater than 1.1, you have a very low probability of recovering the project. And the same for the two complete schedule performance index, a low probability of recovering to the desired duration. Well, because we have these, we have established this. Now we can evaluate, we can predict outcome from the two complete index. If it's less than or equal to 1, the outcome is likely achievable. If it's between 1 and 1.1, it's possible to recover to the outcome. If it's greater than 1.1, then we regard it as not achievable. And because now we have this threshold value of 1.1, we can calculate a probability of recovery for both cost and schedule. The example in the image is for schedule, of course, and you can look to see that this normal curve from the threshold value sum to infinity, there's about a 90% probability that the project, for this example, the project could be recovered. There's also a calculator on the Earn Schedule website that will also do this for you. Now let's get to advanced topics, things I hope that you will aspire to. One is statistical forecasting. It's very simple to do. You simply need only the values that you get from earned value and earned schedule and load it into the calculator. It will calculate the periodic values for CPI and SPIT and produce confidence limits and create this graph for you. As you can see, the confidence limits converge and conclude at the nominal forecast. And you can see over time how the confidence limits cone down. And that's normal. That's what's going to happen. It's a pretty simple thing, but it gives you a very powerful view of how your project is actually performing. The second advanced topic is schedule adherence, where plan value equals earned value, where you establish the earned schedule. That plan value on the performance measurement baseline tells you what should have occurred, and it identifies the plan value from the sum of the tasks in the schedule up to that point, and it will tell you then what tasks should be completed and what tasks should be in work. In the green on the diagram, that's an illustration of the earned value that's in those tasks. We can see in some cases where the green doesn't go up to the earned schedule line. So that tells you the tasks that may have constraints or impediments. In those tasks where the green goes beyond the earned schedule line, that tells you where you might be generating rework. So now you can specifically identify the characteristics of performance in specific tasks. For those tasks that have constraints and impediments, that's where a project manager can have the most impact. He can go and look at those particular tasks and see what may be constraining performance or impeding performance and try and correct it. This schedule adherence facilitates calculations. We can now calculate future rework and total rework for the project. And from those rework calculations, we can now calculate what duration increase will likely occur from that amount of rework. In the beginning of a project is the most likely place that you're going to have lack of schedule adherence. When that occurs, you can use this effective earned value, which is the earned value that you've accrued minus the future rework, and use that in your schedule variance, schedule performance index, forecast, etc. And that will give you a more pessimistic outlook of your performance, but it's also more accurate. Now, this is only valid in the very initial portion of the project, because what will happen is you converge and your alignment becomes better and better as you go through the project. It's just a natural occurrence. Now, in projects, you may have stop work or downtime. Stop work when things are in place and it doesn't make sense to continue to try and work. So you pull people off the project for a period of time to correct the problems. And you may have a case where you have multiple projects executing at once that are sharing resources. So in those projects where you're doing sharing, you have planned downtime. Earn schedule will accommodate both of those conditions. Here for this example, you can see in the graph on the left where the forecast is increasing, that yellow plot, and that's because there is stop work for periods 15 through 18. And you can see for the special forecast, the red forecast, you can see that it aligns better with the actual duration. So the special forecasting, when you have these conditions, is much better for you. And you can see in the forecast comparison on the right that for the green, the special forecast is much better than the normal forecast, just because it accommodates for those conditions. The last advanced topic I want to talk about is longest path. It's fairly complex. What you're going to do here is it's an extension basically of a critical path and milestone forecasting that we talked about earlier. Longest path is used when you have a project that has a lot of parallel paths in the schedule. Longest path, you're going to create performance measurement baselines for every serial path through the schedule. And you're going to calculate a forecast for each of those paths. The longest path, the longest forecast is likely your most accurate. For the example I have here, you can see in the blue forecast, the blue line for the total forecast, it is more or less monotonically increasing. We're getting a worse forecast as this project executes. The longest path forecast is the green line, and you can see it ripples around the actual duration. So you can see early in the project, you're going to get a much better forecast than you do for the full total forecast. But it's very complex to do. At this point, it's really kind of unwieldy to apply to a very complex project. What's needed is for tools manufacturers, tools makers for EVM to take this project up and automate it. So I know of a couple of people that have applied it and say that it actually gives them better information. Now, let's talk about the resources that are available to you to support Earn Schedule and to increase your knowledge. I have the Earn Schedule website, which has all kinds of information on it: publications, presentations, calculators, training sources, and analysis tools. And my books, of course, which Moj talked about and displayed earlier in his portion of the presentation. And I have the masterclass. It's online and free. All it's needed is for you to send me an email, and I will give you access to my Dropbox where you can download all the files. And lastly, the PMI standards for EVM and scheduling, the ISO standard for EVM, and the UK APM white paper. Okay, time to wrap this up. Earn Schedule was created to achieve software process improvement. It requires application of EVM. The indicators are valid and reliable for the duration of the project. The forecast is most accurate for a serial schedule. The basics are the Earn Schedule measure, schedule variance time, schedule performance index time, the to complete index, and the independent estimate of completion. And we talked about these specific applications: critical path, milestone, prediction and recovery, the advanced topics, statistical forecasting, schedule adherence, discontinuous performance, and longest path. and of course, the resources, website, books, masterclass, and the recognized standards. I want to close with this. This comes from General Whitey Dresnack, really one of the founders of earned value management. He has this quote. He says, engineering problems will first manifest themselves in a scheduled slip someplace. Generally, as I've learned since then, if you have a technical problem someplace or some kind of a problem, it will manifest itself first as a schedule slip. Then it will eventually become a cost problem. If you wait to see the cost problem, something has already happened over which you have long since lost control. I always believed in the old adage, time is money. But if you could control the schedule, you could, in fact, control the cost ultimately and what was going on. So what General Dresnack is essentially saying here is that schedule connects with cost. They both interplay. And earned value management helps you do that. Earned value management can connect time and cost together and give you an integrated management system. Well, that concludes my presentation. I hope you got something from it, and I hope I've generated some interest in Earned Schedule. Thank you very much.
Hi again, Walt, and thank you very much for the presentation. It was really informative, and you nicely covered the evolution of the earn schedule, all the variations that you've added over the years. And for the benefit of the audience, I know that you have detailed articles and papers that you publish over the years covering all the aspect of the earn schedule that you have already covered in your presentation, which people can have access freely from your earn schedule website. And also all the calculators that people need to implement and basically practice the earn schedule freely in your website. Although, the formulation of the earn schedule, schedule adherence, and all the forecasting techniques that you have covered might be not too difficult, complex for people, but there's nothing to be worried about for the users because you have everything ready in your calculators, so people can basically use the very basic of the earned value management metrics and indicators and just go ahead and calculate the earn schedule, the time-based SPI, SV, and all the other predictors. I was going to say that the very first paper that you have published in relation to the earn schedule, if I remember, was your very famous article, Schedule is Different, in 2003. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right, Moj. It's on the website. People can pull it down, download it, and read it. It's there's kind of a funny story about it that when it was first published in March 2003, for whatever reason, the Measurable News did not publish the images, the graphs and things that so people didn't understand what it was at first. And Kim Henderson contacted me and said, hey, I don't understand this article. And I said, well, they didn't publish the images. So they actually republished it in August of that year with all of the graphs, et cetera, that were in there. But yeah, March 2003, that was the first indicator, but it was incomplete.
Yeah, that's right. And the measurable news, perhaps not everyone, in this session know what the measurable news, magazine was. That was something that the College of Performance Management had at the time. And I think they were publishing this quarterly magazine up to perhaps maybe 5-6 years ago. If I remember, and then they stopped that, for some reason. But it was, I think, one of the best specific magazine that we had, specializing, on earned value management, which I think Wayne Arbab, Peter Schwartz, and others were involved, with editing the articles. And that was one of the magazine that I was looking forward always to read one of your article or similar article in the field of EVM or earn schedule and other areas. I remember in one of your conference, I think that was back in 2009, which we had our first EVA Europe conference at CERN, if you remember the time. That you mentioned in one of your presentation a story about Quentin Fleming, who was a very famous advocate in EVM. That about the conversation you had at the time with him, that you discussed about the earn schedule. I mean, if you can recall that story, I think it would be interesting for people to know.
Yeah, the conference was in Florida, and I don't remember exactly when it was. I know when it was. It was in 2002, and I went to his presentation, and he was relating some research that had been done on CPI, and it was statistically based research. And at that time, I was trying to apply statistical process control to the indicators CPI and SPI. And I went back to my room after I saw his presentation, and I was kind of overjoyed. I thought, okay, I'm on the right track. I can apply statistics to the indicators. And the next morning, I saw him walking through the courtyard, and I was on my way to breakfast, and I walked up to him and congratulated him about his presentation. And I said, I really enjoyed that, but has there been anything done statistically on SPI? And he just looked at me kind of quizzically, and he said, well, you do know that SPI fails, don't you? And of course, it did. I knew that SPI failed, but at the time, sometimes thoughts don't merge with your voice and or in the moment. So I realized then with his comment that I could not. That was when I went back to my office after that conference and created Earn Schedule, and it was possibly through the impetus of the conversation that I had with Quentin Fleming.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he passed away maybe 5, 6 years ago, as far as I know. And I always consider, I mean, his famous book on EVM as a Bible, for everyone that wants to, have a good start in earned value management and get into the EVM field. And another book which I remember you recommended to me, that was maybe in 2006 or 8, was a very heavy book from Gary Humphrey. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and we had this EVA Europe conference at the time, starting from 2009, 10, 11 in Switzerland, Belgium, Spain, and I think the last one was in Netherlands, if I remember. And
Correct.
and it was very good conference at the time. I mean, and like many other, conferences, they stopped at some point, because just the logistic of, organizing, that conference, was too much for the organizing committee, I remember.
Yeah, Dr. Mario Van Ook was basically the organizer for the conference, and he has a lot of graduate students for one thing, and he lectures in China and then at Ghent, and I believe in London as well for another university there. And it just became a burden for him, and he just couldn't continue with it. But those conferences were very good. I thought we got a lot out of it, and there was a lot of participation, really, from some significant folks. I thought at the time, including
Yeah,
yourself.
yes, and I mean, as far as I know, Dr. Van Hook has done great work because he tested and validated
Yeah, yeah.
most of your ideas, on earn schedule, and apart from him, also his PhD students, are doing the same thing. And every paper that we pick up on earn value, I mean, it's just cross-reference, to the work that you've done, on earn schedule.
A lot of the work that he did was based upon some of the stuff I did, and then some of the stuff that he did, I ended up working on some of that as well. I mean, one of the things that he discovered was the fact that earned schedule was best for a serial schedule. So that's where that came from, was his research. Another research item was one of his students found that if you did a forecast with by basically setting SPIT equal to 1, that was the best forecast you could have, and it made me think, well, that doesn't even make sense. So I did some research, and what I found out was there are certain characteristics in the performance of a project that drive that. So you could get a set of projects that gave that indication, but you might not. So what I came up with was a way to select between two forecasting modes. And in general, planned duration divided by SPIT is best. So the setting SPIT equal to 1 is not generally the best forecast, but it can be in some instances, but you got to be careful about it.
Yes, yeah, I know. And I remember that the first time that I started actually implementing earn schedule was the time I was involved with some major railway system projects in UK. That was the time that I contacted you. If you remember, that was a long time ago, 2006 or 7, if I remember. And at the time, I mean, I could see that there is something wrong with the SPI, because especially for projects that are running late, I could see that the SPI doesn't make sense, because it's just showing that we are actually recovering as time goes by, which didn't make sense at all. And then I started to basically to use your famous earn schedule calculator, and just using the very basic plan value, earn value, and calculating earn schedule, and with the time-based SPI and SV. And even apart from the railway system projects, I implemented earn schedule on some construction, oil and gas, renewable energy, and data center projects, and which everyone could see the benefit of tracking the time-based SPI and SV, and its capability to basically forecast time, something that we can't see from the traditional critical path. Or even at some point I could see the benefit when I was comparing that with the result of the schedule risk analysis, because you have this statistical forecasting technique just by using the very basic of earn schedule, which people can see is I mean, it's powering up nicely during the whole life cycle project. And
Yes.
I remember it, yeah.
If we ever get to the capability of applying longest path, we can couple longest path to the statistical forecasting. And once you've accomplished that, once you connect those two, you will have the most powerful and most accurate forecast that can be achieved with earned value management. But it's going to take some tools manufacturer with some software to be able to do that. But it's possible. I mean, it's possible. It's there. It's available.
Yeah. And in some cases also I've used the earn schedule and claims and dispute as well. I mean, where depends on the situation, there was not enough information in terms of the program, but we had the cost data, very basic, EVM data that I've used it to basically say that was the status of the project, at the time, just by using, this available information, which then when we track this with the contemporaneous records, we saw that, there is a good correlation with the records that the project team recorded at the time. So, I mean, people can see it's benefiting the delay analysis as well, I would say. And I recall that it was perhaps a few years ago, you mentioned about some projects in NASA that they contacted you just saying that, they are using your earn schedule calculator to track the progress.
Or, excuse me.
Yes.
Yes. What happened there? We talked about discontinuous performance in the presentation, where you can have stop work or planned downtime conditions, or even where you might start the project at a different time from its planned time to start. Anyway, they were using the special purpose special cases calculator to accommodate for stop work. And this was during the period of COVID. And so they were ending up having start and stop conditions, and they were trying to do forecasts. And of course, the normal forecasting would give them forecasts that were way out because they stop periods were causing the forecast to become elongated. And so the fellow at NASA contacted me, and he said, "We're using this calculator, but it's just not big enough for our project." And he said, "Can you extend it? Can you make it bigger so we can use it?" And there were some connections between sheets and that calculator that I wasn't, a lot of these things I have to go back and kind of reinvent, so I know what I did in them. So I said, well, it might take me a couple of days to figure out what I did there. But that afternoon, I changed it in about 3 hours and gave him the calculator back, so he got it extended and could apply it. So anyway, yeah, anyone out there that's using my calculators, I set them up for, pretty small projects, and if you need them extended, just give me a contact, and I'll see what I can do to make the calculator so that you can apply it to a bigger environment, bigger project. By the way, if you have questions or things about the presentation that you want to ask me about, just send me an email. My email is Walt Lipke as a string, WALTLIPKE @cox.net. So anyway, yeah, just send me an email and I'll answer it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Walt. I can see now time is flying. We are getting close to the nearly end of our webinar. I don't know if there's any specific thing that, Walt, you want to add, especially for people who want to basically, especially for those that have the very basic of earned value management in place and want to practice the earn schedule. I mean, what is the starting point?
Well, of course, the starting point is applying earned value management. And once you have earned value management, then you can apply earned schedule. And the simple thing to do is to just go and pull down the first calculator, which will calculate earned schedule and the schedule indicators, and just experiment with it and play with it some. And then you might want to take the data on some of your completed projects and go and use earned schedule and see what it's telling you as you go through the various status points of that project, and see if it's giving you good information. Just gain some confidence with it. I mean, it's very easy to use, and it's pretty simple to expand that calculator to do forecasting. And you can do that. You can take the calculator and just simply take the SPIT that's being calculated and divide it into the planned duration and get your forecast. So you can expand that calculator to do forecasting as well. I mean, I'd say that's a very first step to take. Just play with it and get some confidence.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And you've already covered, I believe, all the papers and the extension to earn schedule within your 3 books. I mean, I can see now you've nicely started, covering, the whole story of earn schedule, and within each of your book, you covered, additional, methodologies to earn schedule, that, people can just, read the book and, they can have everything together basically. And then they can just go and use your earn schedule calculators that you have, especially for earn schedule. I know that you also design some calculator when we have partial periods as well. So in case people want to use them, depends on their situation and the type of projects they have. And so with that, if you have any, final notes or anything, for the audience.
Well, I'm really happy that you asked me to do this, Moj, and I'm sorry that my voice kind of goes in and out. Like I told you before
That's all
we
right.
started this, I don't talk that much, so when I have to do an extended period of talking, my voice gets really raspy, and I hope people could understand me. But yeah, and I'm really happy that AACE has some interest in this. I think it's beyond cost engineering. I talked about the impact of schedule on cost, and I think that's something to consider as well in your own activities. So anyway.
Thank you very much, and I just want to thank you for accepting this session. I know, I mean, we had a long conversation. I would say we started from September or October from last year, but we finally made it. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Please keep an eye on our LinkedIn page for AAC UK section. That is the place we normally post our future webinars, and we're going to have more webinars on the topic of earned value management and anything related to EVM, including NCI 748 for those of you who are based in US. So we can have a good. I mean, speeches from the best in the industry, and by that, I just want to close this webinar. And thanks a lot for being here, Walt. Much appreciated. Goodbye, everyone.